It's 26 days to election 2020. Hello and welcome to Newsnight here on your election headquarters.
We're burying 5 at a go. We're going to bury more. We only want to elect the public. The COVID is real, and therefore protect yourself. Observe the national protocol measures to protect yourself, protect your family.
COVID-19 still exists. Observe the safety protocols. Coming up in the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight. Residents of Karga in the northern region flee the community following clashes between supporters of the NPP and NDC that left 9 persons injured.
Taking it as a criminal issue. So I assure you that those perpetrators, you are going to bring them into book.
We'll hear from the police. Meanwhile, the newly inaugurated board of the National Peace Council to make the Karga clash top on the agenda at their first meeting. We'll hear from the chairman. Also here on Newsnight, abrogates the Japan royalties deal now. That's the demand from 25 civil society organizations who are pushing for prosecution for any breaches of laws following the special prosecutor's corruption risk assessment into the deal.
A proper reading of the report of the OSP should lead to 2 conclusions: that the deal is defective, that there are potential breaches of various laws.
We'll bring you more from this group as they insist President Akufo-Addo's directive to send the deal back to Parliament is unwarranted and get your response from government. Also here on Newsnight, Men's Gold customers reject a new offer by management of the defunct gold dealership firm to pay their locked-up funds, describing the package as provocative, outrageous and fraudulent.
We don't understand why anytime someone dreams of a scam, the people that come into his radar is the Men's Gold customer. Not that he's just giving you the land for free. He's demanding money, 20,000 from you.
And in business, government likely to hit its end-of-year inflation target as October rates decline further to hit 10.1%.
And coming up later in sports.
Former Asante Kotoko head coach Abdul Razak warns the Porcupine Warriors against complacency as he names them as one of 6 contenders for this season's Ghana Premier League title. Details when I join you much later with sports.
And later here in the bulletin, the MTTD moves to crack the whip on seatbelt offenders after many drivers fail to comply with the law.
If you are not in seatbelt or you are not wearing crash helmet, you can be fined not less than 300 Ghana cedis or more, or you can be put in prison or both.
But how much do commercial drivers even know about seatbelts? We'll find out. You can join us with your views and comments here on Newsnight on our WhatsApp line 055 1111997. I'm Ernest Manu. And this is your election headquarters. Now, some residents have reportedly fled the Karga district of the northern region following skirmishes between supporters of the governing NPP and the opposition NDC. The Northern Regional Police say it has beefed up security in Karga and conducting patrols within the communities after clashes ensued there. There was some political disturbance on Monday between the 2 major political parties in the area, resulting in several casualties, with 1 person in critical condition. Northern Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga said some suspects mentioned as perpetrators have fled the town, but investigations are underway.
Unfortunate. But we as police or security agencies, we are not taking it as a political issue, we are taking it as a criminal issue. So I assure you that those perpetrators, you are going to bring them into book. You are not going to treat it as a political issue, it is criminal. So people should take patience, take heart. Do not go and then also go and then re-attack. We are going to treat it as a criminal issue.
Some names have been mentioned. Have you started investigations? What have you come up with?
Exactly, we have all the names, and at the appropriate time, all those people will be.
And so you had the crime officer for the Northern Region speak there to correspondent Martina Bugri. Now, the physician assistant at the Karaga Hospital tells Joy News the victims of Monday's clashes were brought to them, and many of them were severely injured. Listen.
It was actually a bad case. I ignored some of the concerns of my colleagues. They were shouting, I should refer to Tamale. And then I told them to keep their calm. They will assess. If you don't assess the case very well, how would you be able to tell whether you'll be able to handle it or not? So upon assessment, I realized that no, it was 50-50. I realized I could do the work. So I asked them to support me, and they actually supported me 100%. Then we did the work, and we are all proud of ourselves.
Describe the extent of the damage that went.
The damage, for now, as I said, I think when they were about to cutlass him, he used the right arm to defend himself. They fractured the ulnar. Then he uses the right arm again. They fractured the wrist. And then the left last digit, that one was also fractured. That one even looked from them, but I was able to position it very well. And then switch it. And he also suffered calf injuries. And all that were taken care of. Even the abdomen, they slashed the abdomen. So he was just coming in a pool of blood. Even if you had seen the ward in which we took care of him, you would have realized the extent of the injuries. He lost a lot of blood.
That's a physician assistant at the Karaga Hospital there, and if you log on to our social media handles and myjournline.com, you find some of the pictures there, some of them sustaining machete wounds and all of that. But the question is, what really happened? Well, I've been speaking to the NDC's regional secretary, Mohammed Abdul Salah, and that's what he told us.
I think that it is more like a bubble that has taken time to build up in the run-up to the December elections. And I think that my first point would be to call on all concerned, from the National Security to the Peace Council, and you name all the concerned groups. Let everybody take interest in what happens in Karaga from these days forward, because political actors sometimes run to the media and play the victim, okay, when in actual fact, they usually are the people who perpetrate some of these crimes. It did not just start today. It started during the limited registration. They did. On the new register, they did. In fact, there's still a case with the police which is being prosecuted at court, where the NPP attacked an NDC agent at a polling station unprovoked. Now, the situation of the NPP in Karaga is such that when they have the NDC organize any program, they will be lined up to prepare an attack on the people after the program. They corner a few people, they either cutlass them with machetes or they knife them on their stomach. We have cases numbering up to 12 of people who have been assaulted at different times. On the particular incident that we are talking about, in Sum, the community called Sum, MPP have organized programs up to about 4 times. There's been no incident. There's been no incident from the NDC by way of any reaction. But on Monday, the NDC was having its first program in Sum. And you know, in the north here, riding of motorbikes are part of our processes when we are having our gathering. Now, MPP did so numerously. Nobody has acted. On this particular score, you are seated on the roadside. The road is not tied. People are riding their motorbikes. And then you accuse those people of kind of riding and creating dust around your sitting place that you have to even subject them to beating and destroy their motorbike.
That's the NDC's regional secretary, Mohammed Abdul Salah, speaking to us. Let's go to the phone lines now to get more on this developing story. We have the Northern Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Nanga join us on the line. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. We're also joined by the NPP's Communications Director, Mohammed Sani. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Newsnight. Let me start with you, Mr. Sani. You had there the Northern Regional Secretary of the NDC essentially putting the blame at your doorstep. He says your men initiated this attack.
No, please. What they are saying is not the accurate information. Indeed,
What happened?
They actually rode motorbikes in around the rally grounds. But our people at Sung were in their pavilion. So a person rode a motorbike inside the pavilion where they were seated. So the question was that, why did you do that? You have seen the road. Display your skills there. Why do you ride into our pavilion? Do you want to wound us? That was the question they asked. And that merited the attack. They attacked them, beat them, injured them, and finally demolished the pavilion.
But Mr. Sani, how does a question then translate into an attack? If he drove into your perimeter, which you think is not right, is the best way to just attack the person because the person has driven into your perimeter? How exactly was this? Is it your understanding that he had...
They asked him a question. They asked him a question. By that time, he was also arguing with them. Nobody touched him, and then the mob attacked those in the pavilion.
The mob who are your members, because you are gathered there.
The mob who came for the rally, the NDC rally. And in the first place, if you observe what happened, why should a person go into a rally with a machete, cutlasses, and guns? Is it a war zone? Are you going for war? So going for rally, you are going there to tell the people what you did for them. That merit that they should give you the next turn. But
hold the line for me.
Bow and arrow.
Hold the line for me, Mr. Mohammed Sani. Let's speak to the police. Hold the line for me. Stay there for me, sir. Let's speak to the police on this. We're joined by the regional crime officer, Bernard Ananga. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. So you mentioned earlier that you have picked up some names. Have you made any arrests? Hello, Mr. Ananga. Mr. Ananga, can you hear me? Well, we seem not to have Mr. Ananga on the line. We'll try and correct that and find out what the police has done so far since this incident. Earlier, they had mentioned that they have picked up some names. We'll find out if indeed they have followed up to make any arrests. But Mr. Sani, you are still on the line with me. Are you willing to assist the police with any investigations?
Hello?
Yes, I'm asking if you're willing to assist the police with investigations. In the event that some of your men are invited and indeed their names come up as culprits?
No, we, the people in MPP, we are out there for peace because we know we have a track record there. We have invested so much in the constituency that we wouldn't like anything to happen in terms of violence. So, people who don't have any track record in the constituency, they normally perpetrate this violence. Because for 8 years as MP, you did nothing for the constituency.
The question I want to ask is, will you support the police in the investigation?
We as MPP,
Mr. San, will you support the police in the investigation?
We are ready to assist the police to investigate.
Very well. Thank you very much for your time. That's the NPP's communications director in Karaga, Mohammed Sani. Let's speak to the crime officer for the northern region, Bernard Baba Ananga. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. Any arrests so far? Hello, Mr. Ananga. We seem to have issues with the line there. Let's try again and see if we can reach Mr. Ananga to bring us up to speed on this developments there, which they have started investigating. Mr. Ananga, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Ananga? Hello, sir?
Hello?
Well, let's move on now, and we'll speak to the chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Jamefi, for more on this. You were inducted, sir. Congratulations on your induction. But we understand this Karaga issue will be has been top on your agenda today. Bring us up to speed, sir.
Well, thank you very much. There are a lot of things that are being put in place to deal with various issues in relation to our elections. And we're doing the best we can to work with all the security agencies to look at various issues that are confronting us. And there are a lot of programs that we've lined up for the coming week to meet with the IGP, the Electoral Commission, some of the political party leaders, and to see what can be done about most of those things going on.
But on the specific issue of Karaga today, which has come up strongly, I don't know what your briefing of the situation is.
Yes, we've asked our Northern Region office to follow up on that issue and send us a report. We hope that by tomorrow morning we'll have a situation report on that, and then we'll speak to that.
You have quite a task at hand. The Peace Council has been blamed occasionally by the NPP and the NDC, the two major parties, for not calling out, some of these perpetrators. Indeed, if they are apprehended or if it is established that they are the cause of the violence and attacks recorded over the period. I'm wondering what your approach will be with this kind of mindset and position by the political parties.
Well, I think for the Peace Council, we've always tried to be as neutral as possible. And that is why for any mediating process, if the mediator takes a certain position, it becomes difficult to do the work of mediation. And that is why we've always tried to be neutral and not take sides when these issues do come up. But as much as possible, we want to address the specific issue. The ones that the council can deal with, we do deal with them. The ones that are criminal activity, we expect that the security agencies will take them up and deal with those situations.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. That's the chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Jamefi. He was inducted today by President Akufo-Addo. Of course, they have quite a huge task ahead of the 2020 elections. Let's go back and speak to the crime officer in the northern region, Bernard Ananga. Thank you very much again for joining us, Mr. Ananga. Mr. Ananga, if you can hear me, yes, thank you for joining us on Newsnight. Earlier when you spoke to us, you had indicated that you had picked up some names. I'm just wondering, have you made any arrests?
Can you speak up a bit? The line is so faint. I can't hear you properly.
Is it better now? Can you hear me? Is it better now, Mr. Ananga? Well, unfortunately, we cannot, Mr. Ananga cannot hear us. We'll fix that problem and we'll bring you up to speed on this developing story at Karaga. Let's move on and do some other stories here on your election headquarters. And the National Security Ministry has assured the National Democratic Congress there's adequate security arrangement ahead of the December 7 polls. At a meeting between the two sides, recent criminal activities by some groups along the country's eastern corridor and its implications for peace and security of Ghana was also discussed. My colleague Elton Brobe joins me in the studio with a statement signed by the Information Minister. Elton, what does the statement say?
So, and it says that the meeting underscored the fact that all officers of the security agencies will wear identification tags. That has been a concern for the NDC. They say that they have intelligence that some people recruited into the service by the governing MPP will be undertaking some security duties on election day, and they feel that it may not go in their favor.
In fact, you've had the Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu request for a list of the police officers who will be deployed just to assure them. So
the outcome of this meeting is that all security agencies will wear identification tags. Additionally, a proper register of security officers will be kept for ease of reference. All political parties will be engaged by the Election Security Task Force to ensure their cooperation and compliance with security arrangement for the elections. Also, officials of the ministry will also provide an overview of security threats posed by some groups along the country's eastern corridor. In the ensuing discussion, the NDC delegation, according to the statement, was fully supportive of the need to defend and preserve Ghana's sovereignty and territorial integrity, shared its own perspective and concerns about recent developments in the Volta region. The meeting emphasized that the need for transparency and continuing dialogue to build trust, even as broader national security concerns are addressed. The Minister for National Security assured the meeting of government's commitment to maintaining a conducive atmosphere for free, fair elections. Follow-up meetings will be held and extended to other political parties, according to the statement signed by the Information Minister Kojo upon Nkrumah.
And of course, we'll be following this meeting subsequently to bring you up to speed on everything elections, especially as security has become such a serious issue ahead of the December 7th polls. Now, the governing New Patriotic Party has issued an order suspending all activities involving mass gathering, health walks, floats, outdoor events, mini rallies, and the likes have all been suspended. General Secretary John Boedu, in a statement, says such activities have been largely characterized by some breaches of the COVID-19 safety protocols, as the protocols on social distancing and the wearing of face masks has been breached massively. Now, this comes as authorities of the University of Ghana Medical School have revealed they are recording increasing cases of COVID-19, especially in the last 2 weeks. Now, let's listen to the head of ICU at the University of Ghana Medical School, Dr. Chris O.
With the numbers going up, including severe and critical cases, especially in the last 2 weeks, and we anticipate that is going to continue in that direction. We are in the process. Actually, I'm in a meeting just before you called me, where we are basically reactivating those other centers, and that would include the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, the New Infectious Disease Center in Ghana East, and then, if need be, the intensive care unit in University of Ghana Medical Center. Yes, so that is the situation at the moment. But
Doc, is your facility full now?
No, we had to re-strategize because we do not have, we still have limited human capacity to spread around.
Okay.
So we created in College Teaching Hospital. The intensive care unit in College Teaching Hospital, as of this morning, we fill the last bed. There is one person on ventilator.
And this is quite significant because of what we have seen in the last few days with the health walks and rallies being organized by the political parties, and what the scientists are saying could have implications. But guess what? The NPP's branch in the Greater Accra immediately responded to the party's directive. Let's listen to the regional chairman, Divine Agohu.
Greater Accra Regional Campaign Team, in consultation with the parliamentary caucus of the region, has with immediate effect and commencing from today, Wednesday, November 11, 2020, suspended all forms of work in all the 34 constituencies in the region until further notice.
And that's the Greater Accra chairman of the NPP. This is your election headquarters. And of course, we return to the campaign trail later here on Newsnight. But the coalition of civil societies working in the extractive, anti-corruption and governance sector are calling for investigation and prosecution of officials who may have been found to have breached any law in the Japa Royalties Agreement. According to Dr. Steve Mantiao, who spoke on behalf of the CSO, the deal is completely defective and beyond repairs. The coalition is also calling for the entire abrogation of the Japa Royalties Agreement, as President Akufo-Addo's directive that a deal should be sent to Parliament is not in the good interest of this country. Now, here's Dr. Steve Mantiao speaking at a news conference held earlier today.
We also note that the Minister of Finance, in his 30th October response to the OSC, disputed some of the report findings, claiming, for instance, that the ministry, and I quote, has been transparent from the onset, unquote, and has, again I quote, acted at all times in good faith throughout the transaction, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, this response, in our view, is at variance with the facts as we have come to know them through our interaction with the Ministry of Finance on the matter. Following from these conclusions, we call for one, the entire set of Japa transactions to be rolled back and the transaction agreement abrogated. Parliament cannot repair the defect. 2, that steps be taken to investigate and prosecute breaches of any law. In this regard, we challenge the OSC to take the next logical step to investigate and prosecute any evidence of corrupt acts in accordance with his prosecutorial mandate. The abrogation of the Ejapa transaction should lay the ground for a more open and consultative process for options and solutions to getting the best value for our mineral resources.
We're joined on the line by the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Ben Boachi. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. Now, initially, your position was that this deal should be reviewed, and that necessitated a probe. Now, after the review and after the risk assessment by the Special Prosecutor, you're saying that it is completely defective and beyond repairs. How is that?
Thanks for having me, Ernest. I think our position on this matter from the start has been that, the deal did not serve the interest of Ghana, and that's because we have summoned all our expertise across civil society to look at the critical issues relative to the agreement and the valuation of the resources that were being assigned to the transaction. And exclusively we could arrive at the position that Ghana was being shortchanged in this particular agreement. So I think that we are consistent with the initial position that we've always had. In the face of the agreement and the values that were being assigned to that transaction, Ghana's interest was not served. So I think we were very specific on those.
But isn't this position that you've taken now a bit premature, because the President has asked the Finance Minister to address all the issues that have been raised by the Special Prosecutor and submitted to Parliament for more scrutiny? Would you rather have waited to see what the outcome of that, review again by the Finance Minister, and what will subsequently be presented to Parliament before taking a position?
I think we should pay attention to the sequence of events. The Special Prosecutor did a risk assessment and submitted a report to the Presidency, and the President got response from the Finance Minister. And in spite of that response that came from the Finance Minister, the President gives directive that the agreement be sent back to Parliament, and not just be sent to Parliament to be ratified, but the Minister should pay attention to the key concerns that have been raised in the public space. So it is in itself an admission that as far as that policy is concerned, there is a need for broader consultation. I don't think Parliament is the appropriate forum for that conversation to be had. If the policy is effective and requires that issues of valuation, issues about tax exemptions, issues about registering a Ghanaian-owned company saving have to be discussed, then Parliament is not the appropriate forum for everybody to be part of that conversation. It brings the conversation back to what is the best approach to optimize our resources. And that requires a rethink of the whole process about ensuring that we bring value to the Ghanaian. That is not to go and amend what already exists, which we clearly agree that it cannot serve the interest of Ghana at this point. So ratifying it or taking it through the same process in Parliament, when the policymaker can look at the document and engage the public to see what is best for Ghana.
Which is why you think it should be abandoned completely. But then another issue that has come up today is, that has come up following this report released by the Special Prosecutor, has to do with the Finance Minister. You've heard the NDC especially call for the sacking of Ken Ofori-Atta, and indeed the Deputy Minister who entered into the agreement on behalf of government. I've not heard your position on this.
I think those are a decision for the appointing authority to really consider. For us, it is about the interest of Ghana. It's about how this conversation can evolve to ensure that we don't endanger a risk-free resource. And from all the analysis that we have done, we are risking the resources, and that remains our focus. The special prosecutor highlights some challenges with procurement processes, and these are matters of law, and I'm sure that he would have to follow up with investigations to be able to unravel whether there are wrongdoings that could be prosecuted or not. So those are issues that the policymaker or the appointing authority may want to consider. But we are much more focused on ensuring that the interests of Ghanaians are actually protected in this particular transaction.
Hold the line for me, Mr. Boachi. We are joined by Mr. Japa Mensah on this as well. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. Now, Mr. Japa, 25 CSOs, all 25 of them coming together says this is defective, it is beyond repairs. How do you respond to this?
Well, it's surprising that even as the civil society organizations call for an investigation, they then also in the same breath call for an abrogation of the transaction. So the question is, if the investigation then makes a determination to the effect that some of the observations of the special prosecutor was indeed flawed, then where do we get to? You see, I have always maintained that to the extent that the civil society organizations, and let it not be said that they are the only ones who seek to protect the interests of Ghanaians, I think to say everybody else does not seek to protect the interests of Ghanaians, particularly governments. Okay? They raise critical issues that I agreed with, particularly with respect to the area of valuation. That, look, you've put a certain figure in the transaction documentation, but per our assessment, the value that we can derive from our royalties could be more. And so, why don't you work to get more value for Ghana?
Mr. Japa, that is part of what is influencing their decision now, to come to the conclusion that this is not in the best interest of the country.
In itself is self-contradictory. Because the fact of the matter is that the special prosecutor has not conducted an investigation. And so it is only post the investigation that calls for abrogation and prosecution of people can be made. But that has not occurred. But the civil society organizations are calling for an abrogation.
Let me quickly take the view of Mr. Boachi on this one. Mr. Boachi, you're asking for the prosecution of some other persons, but you also say that the special prosecutor, despite doing a good job, should have looked at other areas. First of all, I'm wondering on what basis would the special prosecutor be prosecuting some of these people, and what are the other areas you wish he had uncovered as part of the risk assessment?
And I think there are two strands of the conversation. There is a conversation about the transaction itself and how Ghana seeks to benefit from that transaction. And that, from our analysis from the beginning, show that we are not getting what we assume we are going to get, and therefore the transaction is bad for Ghana. That is one strand of the conversation. And there is a conversation about what the OSP has done, which shows that the process was flawed, laws were broken, and we agree that this is a risk assessment. It's not an investigation. So if the OSP finds that laws were broken, then he will need to investigate those further about the process, because the process gives you clues about why the speed to arrive at the transaction that we have. And if you check the OSP's report, you would find that it was not just the parliament that hastily passed the agreement, but right from the day one when companies began to propose to Ghana that they could buy our royalty, we put the entire transaction on an emergency and started procuring from there with that speed. And that is an angle that the OSP can deal with. But as far as the transaction is concerned, as far as the agreement and its letter is concerned, and the values that are assigned to it is concerned, we are convinced, based on the analysis that we have done, that Ghana is not getting value from it. And that is why we say, from that perspective, that the agreement is effective and cannot be remedied in Parliament and has to be abandoned. So,
Mr. Mati, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. Mr. Japamesa, thank you very much also for joining us. I believe that this is not the last of it. We'll probe these issues further as they move along. And you're still live here on Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. Of course, this is your election headquarters. Earlier, we brought you the story about the instruction, the directive by the governing New Patriotic Party for activities involving mass gathering, health walks, and all the likes to be suspended in the country. The General Secretary issued a statement to that effect. The Greater Accra Regional Branch of the party quickly responded to that directive. We're fortunate to have in the studio the chairman of the opposition NDC, Mr. Ofosu-Ampofo. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. What is your reaction to this, especially as you politicians have been accused of encouraging the disregard for the safety protocols?
I don't think you need to blame politicians. You need to blame those who brought the law into existence. Because when you bring a law, you need to enforce and ensure that the law works. His Excellency the President himself signed the executive instrument and is guilty of breaking the protocol because he's been meeting people en masse, and we thought that he, as the executive president of the country who has issued executive orders, should have ensured that the orders were obeyed to the letter. But as time goes on, you realize that they themselves were relaxing the laws, creating an impression as if...
Mr. Ofosu-Ampofo, you are not absolving the leadership of the NDC from any blame.
Let me start from where I'm coming, because, I mean, we didn't put the law. As far as we are concerned...
We have seen videos of former President John Mahama, some of your executives not wearing the mask as well.
As far as we are concerned, anywhere that we go, we wear our mask. President Mahama has always been in mask. In any situation where he's even indoors, even as I accompany him to do a lot of engagement with other stakeholders, he wears the mask. Sometimes it is only when he wants to speak and he doesn't want his mouth to be muffled by the mask that we do all the protocols. We spray as we even went on the campaign, any time that we are speaking, he has his mask on, we spray we observe the protocol, we do the spraying, we do everything.
But Mr. Ofosu-Ampofo, I'm saying that there are many instances where, granted that even former President Mahama as an individual does observe the protocol.
Not only as an individual, all of us on his team.
And that cannot be true, because we have videos, we have pictures where many of your executives fail to wear the masks, and you see them going about the activity without any masks. In fact, you rarely hear them encourage the people who mask up to wear the mask. Well,
with regard to where I move with His Excellency, the flag bearer, President Rawlings, former President John Mahama, and the running mate, Professor Jenana Opoku-Agyeman, I have accompanied both of them. And in any situation that we find ourselves, we have gone to situations in areas where we've been cautioning the people. In fact, it will interest you to know that we've gone somewhere and we said that, look, why are you not wearing the mask? The COVID is Accra-based disease, and that there's nothing like COVID in their area. And so you then have to blame those who were supposed to do public education, sensitize the people, and let them know the dangers in not wearing masks. And I'm saying that the buck stops with those who put in the laws in place. If you know that you are putting a law in place and you cannot implement the law. And
given the position of the party you lead, and of course the platform that you have, shouldn't you be encouraging people?
We have always been encouraging people.
But I'm wondering, are you going to follow suit, issue a directive? Because
I cannot.
The truth of the matter is that sometimes, yes, we cannot blame you because the people mask up spontaneously. But then, if you are going to follow what the NPP is doing by placing a ban on activities that would bring people together, then you're going to control that.
We will encourage people to observe the protocols. taking a decision does not lie with the chairman sitting here to say that I'm going to place a ban. What I'm going to do, and as we've been doing, is to continuously encourage the people to observe the protocols and ensure that they do things that will minimize the possibility of encouraging and increasing the rate at which the coronavirus infection is. I mean, I thought that Ghana were on the threshold of fighting it. We were almost there, and then there are a lot of relaxation from everywhere. And we as executives, we look, as I speak to you now, we have enough face masks and face shield in place. Even on election day, we are preparing to ensure that all our party agents are given the necessary PPEs to move into the polling station. We are working out a scheme to ensure that people observe the protocol and ensure that the election they do not create a situation where we find an increase. But I'm saying that laws are made to be enforced, and for that matter, those who brought in the laws
should be enforced.
Those who brought the law, who decided to relax it, who decided to create an impression that anybody who dies of coronavirus, an explanation is given that it's an underlying factor that has killed the person, and that it is not coronavirus that has killed. They have pushed us into where we are now, and so the buck stops with the president and his team to ensure that we intensify public education. I've been told that NCC, the vehicles that were given to them to even do public education on coronavirus have been withdrawn, and we're going to blame NDC for it. Well, we can't take the blame, but we will continue to encourage our people to observe the protocols. I, entering here, have my mask on. I went through the protocols in our offices and others, in our runs. We are all doing it, but the executive authority lies with somebody.
Thank you.
He does what is expected of him.
Thank you very much for your time. That's the national president of the opposition NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, national chairman of the opposition NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, joining us here in the studio. And of course, on the claims that the vehicles have been withdrawn, we cannot independently verify that. We will make our checks and bring you up to speed. Time now for business with George. Hello, George.
Hi, good Joe. How you doing?
I'm good. What's up in business?
Well, coming up in business, government likely to hit the end of the inflation target as October rates decline for the third month running to hit 10.1%. And World Bank assures of measures to ensure the prudent use of funds disbursed for COVID-19 as it plans to actually give Ghana more money in the coming months to help stabilize the economy and deal with the pandemic. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Agnes, would you be my girlfriend? Agnes, would you be my girlfriend? Agnes, would you please be my girlfriend? Okay, let's call her.
If you like the caller tune you're about to listen to, press *1 to copy now.
Express yourself with your caller tune and win big with MTN. Simply dial *1355# and download your favorite caller tune, or copy or renew your already existing caller tune and stand the chance of winning up to 1,000 CDs weekly, 4,000 CDs monthly, and the grand prize of 15,000 CDs in the MTN Caller Tunes promo. Send stars to 1355 or dial *1355# to subscribe today. We're good together. We there for you everywhere you go.
Ades, no NDC for manifesto. A move people up and there will wire.
Aye, Makai, Nadia Yamiti through woman champagne. Yera Mama say Oba, school pong, University, Polytechnic, ni nursing school na fees no, or chummy no wafa.
Nadia made the crown when say, Busa Yadima school for no. Irajo Mahama say, or betum, with Sian and Temso.
Sir, now what since so say, Irajo Mama see Oba, a year a guitar for what says school for ya and Sanomadi Busia the fees no, well, Chimwana.
we yen hihye papa na de kume kra ne student loan plus scheme no Irajo Mahama say or the beba biem san hihye be bo school for o menya akwenya o school mo mo ti o mo school fees in ten answer school crash ase
Irajo Mama when so adi hu pa on the 7th December me to ma ba ma number 2 ballot paper so any challenger
no challenger ades ye to abana ko he
ye to ababa chimbe
Tuma Mahama ni NDC ama ejuma ni enkoso aba ama yenyina.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC, Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
We know it's important to create a productive and supportive working environment by investing in your employees' health. With a leading international track record, Apex Health Insurance is regulated and licensed by the National Health Insurance Authority to provide medical insurance services to institutional clients, families, and individuals. Apex Student Package and International Medical Solutions are all here to cushion you. Visit Apex Health Insurance Office at Zion House, Boundary Road, Shiashi, or call
0501 683 914
or 0232 000 in Kumasi. We are located opposite Prempeh College, Sofo Line, and in Takrady. Apex Health, your preferred health insurer.
Fellow Ghanaians, the stakes are high for our country this December. Don't stay home.
Remember, this election is about your future. Which of the candidates will you trust with managing our economy better? Which leader can give us free SHS and enhance the education of our children? Who can you trust to protect us during dark periods such as COVID-19? Who has the competence to protect our economy, build roads and dams?
Do you remember the dark periods of Doomsaw, Create, Loot and Share Brigade?
This December, remember we cannot afford the risk. Let's vote for Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP to protect our progress.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, government could end the year hitting its single-digit inflation target. Now, this was after inflation rate for the month of October dropped to 10.1%. Now, this for the third month running, the rate has declined marginally for this year. The 10.1% is the lowest since May this year. If government achieves its target, it could send signals positively to investors and development partners about its commitment to fiscal discipline. The move could also impact positively on the cost of credit and returns on investment. Now, this doesn't mean the inflation rate is actually going up, but rather the rate of growth has slowed down compared to that of the same period for last year. So, has the reopening of the borders impacted the inflation rate, especially the food component? Professor Samuel Kobnenin is a government statistician.
Behavior of the locally produced items and the imported items will not be affected only by the reopening of our borders, but the season that we find ourselves in. So the question is, what is the relative impact of the harvest period or the post-harvest period vis-a-vis the impact of the reopening of our borders? So by implication, we are saying that yes, food is showing a surge of about 4.3 percentage point. One can only conjecture that is as a result of the post-harvest period that we find ourselves in.
Professor Samuel Koblenin is government statistician, and the World Bank says it has mechanisms in place to ensure that COVID-19 funds advanced to Ghana is used prudently. Now, this is coming after the board of the bank disbursed another $130 million to help government fight COVID-19. This should bring the total amount of funds disbursed under its COVID-19 response program to $240 million. Pierre Laporte is the country director for the World Bank.
Each and every contract that is awarded are audited, are verified, and if ever down the line the bank discovers that certain procedures were not followed in one contract, government is asked to refund this money. It's a normal practice. But what I can assure people is that we take every step and we are confident in the processes that are in place, funds, and it's our duty to ensure that we protect the resources through the right procedure.
Country Director for the World Bank, Pierre Laporte. Meanwhile, the World Bank is set to advance some $20 million to help government purchase COVID-19 vaccines when they are ready for global supply. Still on the World Bank, because by the end of next month, we'll have advanced more than $1 billion to Ghana. Now, this is the single largest disbursement to a member in a year. Now, Ghana has made some strong showing in the latest AFSA Global Financial Market Index rankings. It went up by 7 places to 6th out of 23 countries that were reviewed in Africa. Ghana's strong showing was influenced by two pillars, that is, active foreign exchange and stronger legal framework. The index also look at how it's been able to develop this financial market in actually 23 countries in Africa. Let's hear from Komla Nyalete. He is with AFSA Bank Ghana.
Year on year, comparing 2019 to 2020, Ghana did, very well, anchored on 2 pillars in particular: access to foreign exchange and legality and enforceability, of contracts. And there are some real initiatives, that underpin this. In particular, I can speak to the new Corporate Insolvency Act that was passed this year, which clearly makes netting enforceable in Ghana. So, Ghana's work, as a result of prior year recommendations, prior year identification of areas in need of work, has paid off in 2020.
Access to FX is one area that we made stronger. Can it be attributed to the Bank of Ghana decision to kind of release, to allow the banks to hold these FX from gold proceeds and all the rest, that has contributed to this?
Absolutely.
Kamala Nyalete is with AFSA Bank Ghana. Now, the Bank of Ghana is taking steps to improve governance of the rural and community banks in the country. To this end, the regulator has outdoored a draft corporate governance directive for all these banks in the country. The directive will, among other things, seek to actually direct these institutions to adopt best practices to enable them to do business in a sustainable manner. The Bank of Ghana also wants these institutions to maximize shareholder value and interest of their depositors. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kojo Menu.
Thank you very much, George, for bringing us business. Time now for sports with Baba Tanda.
Former Kumasi Asante Kotoko coach Abdul Razak has named the club as one of 6 main contenders for this season's Ghana Premier League title. The former player, who guided the team to win the competition in 2003, believes all of the 18 clubs in the GPL will be competitive this year, due mainly to player recruitments, warning Kotoko to guard against complacency.
It's always one of the favorites. I would say they are favorite to go and win the league. It's not so this time around. This time they have 2 or 3 clubs also in the same position, which is not going. I think it's going to be a real battle this year, as I'm saying. Kotoko is one of the favorites. You have Asofok, you have Mediama, you have Ediana, you have Ash Gold. These are teams that maybe Legon cities and all that. They are all coming because this time most of the teams that they couldn't recruit the best of players before, now they are recruiting the same kind of players that you can also get. So it's not going to be easy this time around. So I hope they will not say Kotoko, we are Kotoko, so we are going to win. No, we have to work and work and work till that we get where they want to reach.
Now, the Black Stars continue their preparations to play Sudan in an AFCON qualifier. And talking about the AFCON qualifiers, Libya will take on Equatorial Guinea at 19 hours GMT tonight. You can find out more, especially on results of other matches that have been played in the AFCON qualifiers, if you log on to myjoyonline.com/sports. You are up to date in the world of sports. I'm Baba Tanda from London.
Thank you very much, Baba, for bringing us sport. Now, customers of the defunct gold dealership firm Men's Gold have rejected another offer made by management to offset monies owed them since September 2018. The firm, whose CEO Nana Mensah is facing 63 criminal charges in court, has been struggling to offset its liabilities, forcing customers to consistently demonstrate at its premises. We can hear from spokesperson of the aggrieved customers, Fred Forson, who says this is another scam by Nana Mensah.
Sure, yes. For the past 48 hours, from Men's Gold inviting us to partake in this so-called land that he says is available for purchase. And as a group, we find it quite provocative and outrageous, and we are calling on the security agencies to arrest the gentleman immediately.
And that's Fred Force, and he speaks for the aggrieved customers of Men's Gold. To arrive alive now, the MTTD unit of the police services, it will crack the whip on all those who fail to wear seatbelts. Director of Education, Research and Training, Superintendent Alexander Kweku says the unit has not relented in its duty of ensuring strict compliance to the laws on seatbelts.
In the course of this year, 107 people were arrested for not wearing helmets. 47 were also arrested for not wearing seatbelts. Among other offenses or offenders that were arrested and processed, we took all of them to court. Together, about 1,827 have been sent to court and they have been convicted. When they were sentenced, about 28 were put in jail. The rest were slapped with various traffic fines, and when you put all together, so far, between January and October, about 1,028,000 Ghana cedis have been paid into the state coffers as court fines. So specifically, if you are not...
And that's the Director of Research and Training at the MTTD, Superintendent Alexander Obeng. And remember that Arrive Alive is brought to you by the National Road Safety Authority with support from the Joy Drive Safe campaign, Toyota Ghana, and Logistic Movers. And that's it for Newsnight. Many thanks for your company. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Manu.